Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and as many of you know, unless you're living underneath a rock, that Nikon just dropped a bombshell of a firmware update for the Nikon Z8. Today, I want to talk about that latest firmware update and what does this mean for the future of Nikon. Now, before we get into my opinions about the latest firmware update for the Nikon Z8, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button and like this video. And also, most importantly, smash the bell to get notifications for my upcoming content. As we all know, Nikon just dropped another bombshell of a firmware update. I mean, this is as big as the Nikon Z9's big bombshell update that they did last year. So with that said, it really got me thinking, what does Nikon have in store for all of us Nikon shooters out there? And tell you the truth, I'm excited to see what's to come. But before I give my final thoughts and really deep dive into what I believe Nikon is getting ready for, I want to first go over just the bullet points of what this latest firmware update gave all of us Z8 shooters out there. Here we are at NikonUSA.com. And we have the firmware update 2.0. Now, of course, everybody and their mother already dropped videos about this firmware update. So this is just mine, and I'm going to be really quick about it, okay? So we're going to have, obviously, improved performance across the board, and they are not lying. First and foremost is the bird mode for great autofocus tracking for those who are doing birding, which I'm sure this is going to be great that they're even tackling that just for our sport shooters and whatnot. But of course, here's the bird shots. You're going to get even better bird shots with the Z8. It was already great, and now it's even better. So now we have action wildlife attention given to. So we have the auto capture mode. There we go. So we all know what that is. We've already talked about it. It's now in the Z8. Awesome. So we have enhanced pre-release capture and improved focus point visibility. So now you can fine tune the border width of your focus point in 3 levels. So there you go. For those who wanted it, you now have it. I never knew I needed it, but I'm glad it's there now. And then now down to the portraits. This is the area I like because this is what I do most. And, so newly added picture controls. So we have rich tone picture, we have flat monochrome, which is probably from the ZF, quite honestly, and deep tone monochrome picture controls. And that probably, again, is from the Nikon ZF. So that's awesome because I love the black and white photos coming out of my ZF camera. Okay. Now we're on to landscape and architecture. So that's dope because I like doing some cityscape, and once in a while hiking, you know, got to take a landscape photo. So we have pixel shift. Welcome, Z8. To having pixel shift. This is pretty awesome. So as many of you know, it will help you to produce across up to 38 NAT. Oh, wow. RAW exposures. Okay. Use NX Studio to turn pixel shift sequences into a file that's 100 megapixel in size. 180 megapixel in size. So that's my only drawback, is that you have to use this, I believe, just in NX Studio. And if this was something that we could use in Lightroom or any other software, that would be even better, just because my workflow is already tied up in Adobe, whether it be Premiere, After Effects, Lightroom, Photoshop, etc., than having to do some of my workflow in NX Studio is the only drawback. But it is what it is. There you go for those that use it. I haven't used pixel shift a whole lot personally, but I like that feature. I used it inside the Lumix cameras. Lumix had it for some time. And so for Nikon to really be going full steam ahead with this feature, really awesome, especially for those landscape shooters out there. So you're going to get a lot of great dynamic range out of this thing in a hell of a lot of detail. All right. Now video. Now, we have ISO 200 equivalent and N-Log video. So that's great. We want lower ISO control when possible. And a new low 2.0 setting. Oh, that's what it, okay. So the new low 2.0 is ISO 200 equivalent. I don't know why they don't just make it ISO 200. But anywho, and N-Log captures more tonal information, shadows, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, lower ISO. You're going to get a lot less noise. right? So that's good. I want to try that out, to tell you the truth. Okay. So you can see here, you go to NikonUSA.com to compare the two, see if you see the big difference. We have slow motion video in camera. So record beautiful 4x 5x 1080p slow motion footage straight to your memory card. No post processing necessary. So what that means is that we can actually play back the slow motion and see it in slow motion. I know when the Z9 and Z8 initially had their slow-mo, yeah, you're recording at 4K 120, but then like when you play it back, it plays back regular. So with that said, this is great. Other camera systems had this function to be able to switch back and forth. I personally like it because I want to know exactly if I like how it is or I need to reshoot it. And I could kind of see in my mind, well, not even in my mind, in the camera itself, how the slow motion is going to look like before I post-process that footage. All right. And then we have enhanced high-res zoom. Okay. So enjoy extra reach up to 2x zoom during 4K HD and full HD video recording. So I'm guessing that is a digital zoom. I've never needed it, but for those that needed it, there you go. So increased functionality with Nikon apps, obviously NX Mobile Air and NX Field. Mobile Air added an option to save camera settings to your smartphone. Oh, that's kind of cool. And status of NX Mobile Air is now displayed in live view. Okay, the status. Okay, that's cool. And an NX Field, up to 20 synchronized release groups can now be registered. Blah, 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 blah. Copyright information, etc., etc., etc. Okay, well, that's pretty cool for those who need it. Now, real quick, we have cycle autofocus area function for quick switching between AF modes, exposure delay mode for shake-free tripod shooting. Okay, that's pretty cool. Actually want to try that out, see how that works. Additional 1.3, 1.7, 2.3, and 2.7 EV exposure bracketing increments. So that's great for those who like to shoot like that with bracket mode on. Expanded custom control functions, control over focus point outline thickness, as we mentioned earlier. New custom shutter sounds for those who are annoyed with the old sounds. You got new sounds. Vertical orientation of info and menu display, which is great. And all mirrorless cameras should have that. So it's good they got that in there. Improved magnified playback operation during frame advance. Additional settings options for non-CPU lenses. Improved EVF brightness during playback. Okay, that's cool. I don't tend to use that, but I'm sure others do mind. Like when I play back, I'm looking at the rear monitor. Remaining card space warning during video recording. Now that's a very cool, handy warning, let me tell you, so that you're like, oh, you only got 2 more minutes left. That's actually really handy. So obviously go to Nikon USA to download the latest free firmware right there. So with all that said, that is just a quick run through of the latest updates. There are many other channels bigger than my own that go really well in depth into these updates and the impact it has. So go watch any of them, for Matt Granger to Tony Northrup to any Jared. I don't know if Jared Poland did one, but I know Matt Granger did. He did a great one. I watched his. So go watch his stuff for that. I really want to talk about now about what I believe this means for Nikon. So let's get to that. I really want to share right now my personal opinion about what this means for Nikon in 2024 and beyond. Personally, I'm really excited to see not only last year's performance with Nikon releasing a ton of great gear, really hardcore firmware updates, and really giving us what we want for us Nikon shooters, but most importantly that they're starting this year off the same. And this is a shot across the bow, letting people know and the industry know that last year wasn't a fluke. It was really just the beginning of more that's what to come. Now, personally, I'm hoping that we could see finally the Z35mm f1.2 by the end of the year would be great. But I'm not mad at not getting it last year. The Planet lens for sure made up for all of it, as well as the 85-1.2. So all good, Nikon. I forgive you, but that 35, we need it. But aside from that, it's really about their attention to what's being said on the street. I think right now with Nikon having Canon and Sony really in the top 3 spot with them, and they're all juggling around. Now they're up against those two behemoths, and now that honestly, competition breeds better quality products, service, etc. for all of us. So I'm glad that there's that stiff competition out there, because it means they're going to listen to us. They have to listen to us way more keenly, more than ever before. That's why we're getting the kind of cameras we're getting, and they're throwing everything into these cameras. I mean, honestly, look at the Z8 and the Z9 out of the box are the best well-rounded cameras on the market, bar none. They're going to give you up to 8K video. Okay. They're giving you 4K 120. There you go. You got it. You got all this pixel shift. You got, auto capture. They're tackling like almost every single genre with both of those major releases that have been done just the past couple of years. And these firmware updates are major. Like, they're not just saying, here's a little tweak and here's a little tweak. No, they're throwing like, okay, here's all these issues or things that our audience wants to improve, and they're improving on it. So I have to give it to them. That's one of the things that Sony did at the beginning and has always been really good at, as listening to the word on the street. And Nikon is doing that, and they're paying dividends now. And that's why they're having the success that they're having for the past couple of years. And I really hope to see more, because again, all the shooters and enthusiasts of Nikon are only going to benefit from the success of Nikon. Our pockets might not like it, but damn it, the rest of us will like it nonetheless. Another thing that this says is that look how mirrorless cameras, the benefit of it is really on full display right now. You could buy a camera really capable in performance right out of the box, right? Like the Z8 here. And then, with just some firmware update, really fine tune and improve the hardware that we're purchasing. What does that mean? So that means if like when I bought this camera, it was $39.99, and now with all the improvements that it can do, it's honestly worth more than that in terms of capability. So we're really getting more bang for our buck. And again, I hope Nikon continues this momentum, I hope this is not just a fluke, but more of a habit now. It's part of their culture that they're answering our call with these firmware updates and continued support with lenses, of course, but also with the features of these cameras. So now when I'm looking at a camera, I'm not just, I'm getting the camera, but really I'm looking at the features that camera provides is, I think, just as important as the shutter, how many shots per second I get. Matter of fact, that actually takes a back burner. Now I'm looking more in depth, because when I bought this, I really wanted a high performing video as well as photography camera all rolled in one. Sure, my Z9 did a great job at both of those, but the size of this, when I add the cage and add everything else, this is actually more aligned of the professional camera body I want that will handle both. Okay. And how do they do that? It wasn't like the camera got a whole lot bigger. It was really these firmware updates. So I'm very excited. I feel very heard and supported by Nikon. And I'm even that much more confident in the future of Nikon being able to provide the tools that I need to keep creating some cool content. I want to hear your comments down below about what you think about the latest Firmware 2.0 for the Nikon Z8. What do you think about the future of Nikon? Is it good? Is it bad? What would you like to see them improve on? Either way, let me hear it. Post post your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more, don't forget to press that like, that share, to subscribe, and you already know, hit the bell to get notifications for my upcoming content. And until next time, keep shooting and stay creative.